biggest things I would tell an entrepreneur looking to start a company right now is just make sure you have clarity of vision, that everyone gets it. Don't be afraid to say things which are simple. Sometimes we think when you get up in front of a room, you have to wow them with like lots and lots of stuff. But no, the best companies, it's a very simple thing. Like Instagram, it was share photos. YouTube, share videos. You want a really simple vision.
Hey everyone, welcome to the new Founders in Arms podcast with me, Immad and Raj, CEO and co-founder of Mercury.
And I'm Raj Suri, co-founder of several companies. Today, we're very excited to have Paul English, one of the most storied and prolific entrepreneurs, I think, of our time. You're the CTO of Kayak previously, probably most well known for, but you've also done a lot of other cool things, Paul. We'd love to hear from you, kind of what you're up to nowadays. You several companies, right? You've started many companies since Kayak, and also you do a lot of nonprofit work, I believe, as well.
I describe myself like, I think my Twitter bio says I start companies and nonprofits. I think I've started and sold 6 companies now. Kayak was the one with the biggest outcome, of course, and that was 10 years of my life. But I've also done e-commerce, security software, customer service, consumer travel, business travel, and podcasting were my 6 companies. And now I'm running a little venture studio. And a venture studio, unlike an incubator and accelerator where you help other people with their ideas, a venture studio is a little bit more arrogant. I apologize for that, where we only work on our own ideas. And it's incredibly fun. We have a team of 10 people spread across Boston and New York, and we have 30 developers offshore. And we currently have 5 companies under development. And I'm having the time of my life. Like, I'm very ADD, and it's incredibly exciting to be able to work on like 3 different companies in one day.
Do you come up with the company's ideas for the venture studio? Is this like...
Yeah, it's me and the team.
Yeah, and that is fun. Are they all kind of consumer-focused ideas or all sorts of things?
We have almost all the consumer. We have one B2B. We're doing a group calendaring application to be called SuperCal. It'll be supercal.com. It's not released yet. Hopefully that'll be coming out in October. But that's a very exciting company. The others are all B2C, but the calendaring thing just problem bothered me so much that I just had to do something about it. It's almost impossible to get a meeting set up with 3 people or 4 people, or God help you, 5 people. There's no software for it. Calendar doesn't do it. Google doesn't do it. Outlook doesn't do it. There's no way to do it. And so we're building that. And we think we have a pretty innovative solution to it. I don't want to go too much into it yet because we're not released yet. We'll be releasing sometime in October. But that's our one B2B company. The others are all B2C.
Oh, that's cool. Before I started Mercury, I did think it would be fun to start a venture studio, but I wasn't quite as successful as you, so I couldn't get away with it. But I think the idea of working on like lots of ideas is quite fun. Also, that first phase of like 0 to 1 is like kind of the most invigorating.
Yeah, someone asked me recently when I was going to retire, and I'm like, I kind of feel like I am retired because I'm doing the most fun thing I can possibly think of work-wise, which is create something out of scratch. Like it's kind of the dream, and I get to chase that dream multiple times a day. So it's a very, very fun for me.
Yeah, one thing I find funny about VCs is they don't want to invest in consumer startups. They also don't want to invest in hardware startups, and they also don't want to invest in kind of SMB startups. But those are where all the biggest successes are. So I think you have, I guess, the luxury to kind of focus on.
The thing with B2C, it's true with venture in general, but with B2C, failure is very high. So like I have a dating app called Lola, and we do a couple things that we think are very unique across all dating apps. But dating apps, it's a hard business to create. There are so many that come and go all the time. And there's the big guys like Tinder and Hinge and Bumble, but there's probably 50 other dating apps. And so it's a little audacious to try to create yet another one when the streets are littered with bodies of prior dating app founders, but we're going for it anyway.
And you're not looking necessarily for venture scale outcomes, right? It doesn't need to become like a public company for it to be successful.
We sold one. We had a podcasting app called Moonbeam, and we sold that to Odyssey. They own about 300 radio stations, and it was a great, great app. And the reason we sold it was they had scale of users, and it also funded my studio for like 2 years. So I have not had to raise any venture capital. We're self-funded. And maybe we sell one company every year or two for a small outcome just to keep funding us. but we do want to swing for the fences with some of our companies. Like SuperCal, we're trying to build a very big company with a very small team. At Kayak, I used to manage a company for revenue per employee. And when we took it public 2012, we had 200 employees and 300 million in revenue. And that million and a half per employee was, it's not OnlyFans level, which is like $30 million employees, something like that. But it was more than anyone had done in travel at the time. And all our decisions are based on that efficiency. And for my little studio, it's called Boston Vent Studio. It's bvs.net. For my little studio, the thing we measure ourselves on is users per engineer. And we really want to keep the engineering teams as small as we possibly can, which means that we need the engineers to be as strong as possible. So I am just really intrigued with how many users can I get with a product built by only 3 engineers. I just kind of intellectually love this problem.
What was the WhatsApp number at when they sold? I think they had like 20 engineers and like 100 million users or something. Was it something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy too, yeah. OnlyFans is probably the best
Instagram was
revenue.
another one that was off the charts. Incredibly small team with large user base.
Yeah, I have the exact same philosophy. It's like nowadays, especially with AI, you can have really small teams to do amazing things.
I'm waiting for the first startup worth $1 billion made by one person.
Probably 2 people, but yeah, I think, yeah.
Well, the funny thing that happened in Silicon Valley, especially during 2021, is everyone could raise so much money that there was just like, the idea of like software actually leading to like, more dollars per employee or more users per employee was kind of thrown out the window. It was just like, hey, how much people can we hire and like scale up sales and marketing? And it was like the whole thesis was screwed up.
We have some discipline in that we're self-funded, in that we're very careful with every dollar we spend. There's 10 of us in the US and 30 offshore. For the 10 in the US, we spend money to like get together. Like last weekend, one of my co-founders recently bought a couple hundred acres up in Vermont. And last week, we went and spent a couple days up there on sort of an outing. And we had a blast, like hanging out, had really good dinners and went apple picking and hiked the farm, did all this cool stuff. So we love spending time on the team, just doing crazy things, but we're very judicious in most cases where we spend money because we are self-funded.
You said you had 300 million in revenue and only 200 employees. Did that mean you were very profitable when you went public?
Yeah, we were crazy profitable. And I actually just returned back to Kayak after 10 years away. And now I work for them 1 hour a week. And the reason I went back is my co-founder, Steve Hafner, who's one of the best entrepreneurs I've ever met, is trying to reboot the product strategy. Kayak is feeling increasing pressure from Google. They're just a fierce competitor because they're at the top of the funnel. So they take over more and more of the pages for their own products as opposed to showing people other products. And we're trying to reboot the product a little bit, working on some really fun things. But I've committed him. I said, I'll give you 1 hour a week. And I'm having a blast going back there. So Kayak is also still, it's near $1 billion in revenue and very profitable. But we're trying to figure out how to get it to be even more profitable and grow faster.
You had a great story about how you met your co-founder and like you kind of like decided to like get married after like an hour meeting or something.
I was in EIR at Greylock, working with a guy named Bill Kaiser. And one day my friend Larry Bond asked me to go over to General Catalyst, look at a company for them. And as I was leaving, Joe Cutler at General Catalyst said, "What are you doing here today?" I said, "I'm looking at the company of your partner." And he said, "There's a guy here I want you to meet. His name is Steve Hafner. He's one of the founders of Orbitz, and he wants to create a travel company." I said, "Sure, I'm happy to meet him." So we went down to Legal Seafoods in Harvard Square, had a couple drinks. I think it was sort of a liquid lunch type of day. And he gave me the pitch, and I liked it a lot. And he said he was looking for a CTO. I said, "I will find you a CTO. I run a group of CTOs, and how much are you paying?" He said, $150 and 4%. I said, "I think that sounds awesome. I bet I can find you someone good for that." He said, "Why don't you do it?" I said, "No, I just sold my last company to Intuit. I'm hanging out at another VC firm. I'm working on starting my own company." He said, "What would it take to have you do it?" And I said, "I don't know, at a minimum 50-50. And he put his hand across the table and said, "Deal." Yeah, that's what we signed for. Went
What a
upstairs to
great story.
Joel, and Steve's like, good news, bad news. Good news is I have a co-founder now, 50-50 co-founder, and we're each putting $1 million in tomorrow, which he forgot to mention to me during the lunch. And then he said, but the bad news is I'm tearing up the term sheet because now I have a co-founder, I'm worth a lot more money. And Joel's like, I introduced the two of you 45 minutes ago. So it's just like this very funny sequence of events. But Steve and I just had a fantastic partnership. We're very similar in many ways. Like we're both trying to give impulsive is one way to say it. Some might say reckless. We're incredibly decisive. We'd rather make a decision than have a drawn out meeting. So we just like try stuff all the time. And we trust people so much that it kind of, they like, you really, today's day one of the job. You're really going to let me check code into the iPhone app? Like, you're going to let me change it on my first day? He's like, yeah, go for it. We liked you. We liked you when we interviewed you. We want to let you change the product. And had a lot of fun together. So I'm back there now just an hour a week, but having a blast working with the team.
That's a cool story. What do you think are the characteristics that make like a very profitable software startup? Like what is it that people get wrong and end up having like these crazy kind of cost structures?
Well, when you think about what's not a profitable startup, you look at that company, when you visit them and you see some inefficiencies, you see some people like duplicating tasks. You see some people who are unsure what they're working on or how their work contributes to the company. And there's a lot of debate and meetings get dragged on and decisions get revisited and revisited. Like you can't make a decision. And you look at companies that scale and there's incredible clarity of vision. Like every person in the company knows we're just going to do X. And so at Kayak, it was, we just want to build a search engine. We're not a merchant. We don't sell anything. We just want to be the best search engine for travel. And everyone in the company knew it, and they all knew what their role was in creating that. So I think the first thing is clarity of vision. Equal to that, I guess I would say, is just being great recruiters. Because if you can hire 5 just really tremendous people, they're going to hire the next 50 who will hire the next 500. And that team is going to build the company. So I would say the 2 biggest things I would tell an entrepreneur looking to start a company right now is just make sure you have clarity of vision, that everyone gets it. Don't be afraid to say things which are simple. Sometimes we think when you get up in front of a room, you have to wow them with like lots and lots of stuff. But no, the best companies, it's a very simple thing. Like Instagram, it was share photos, YouTube, share videos. I mean, you want a really simple vision.
I've noticed that often when companies do spend a lot of money, it's because they're like very dependent on like expensive distribution channels. Like they're spending a ton on Facebook ads or Google ads, or they have this huge kind of sales and marketing engine. And I always think as soon as you're in this mindset where like every single user, you're trying to do this like LTV CAC game, where you're like, okay, I'm going to pay this much money, like $600, and they're going to pay that off in 2 years. And like that just ends up being actually like a fairly capital intensive business. Whereas you kind of want to build a business where people come to you and find you because you're just the best product and you're serving like a really big need. And you get this kind of organic distribution.
It's catching lightning in a bottle to create a product where your users bring their friends back. We all go for it. It's hard to achieve, but that's what we're all seeking is, can we build a product that is so transformational in someone's day that they just love celebrating, like showing how smart they are by saying, look at this site I just found, aren't I smart? I found this amazing thing.
You also mentioned that you had 30 offshore engineers or something for BVS. Is that like a strategy that's worked pretty well? Is like building the offshore team?
It's not that if I was creating a event studio from scratch, I wouldn't say, if someone came to me and said they want to create an event studio, I wouldn't say go create an offshore team. Like that wasn't part of the calculus. It was more that there's a guy named Yasser Bashir who grew up in Lahore, Pakistan, went to school at Stanford, worked big tech in the US for a while, and then went back to Pakistan. He now has 750 engineers working for him. He and I have worked together for 15 years now. He built core tech me at Kayak and my next 2 companies. And we just have so much fun working together. He said he will build anything I design. He'll build for free, just for equity. So it makes us be unbelievably capital efficient, and they get good equity in our companies. And I want them to make money because the more money they make working with BVS, the more they're going to keep giving us their best engineers.
Well, that's a cool concept. Like, then you want to just pay for them and not give up equity, or you really think you get the best people when they have ownership?
I don't know. Like at this stage of my life, I made so much money at Kayak and my other companies. Like, I don't need more money. I've given away over half my Kayak money so far, maybe 2/3. So it's like I'm giving away money. I mean, I'm still making money too, so I'm doing okay. Don't feel sorry for me. But with my new companies, I think I want to spread it around. I want people to make money. I want people to become wealthy.
It's super cool. Paul, you're also on a lot of nonprofit boards and like a lot of philanthropic stuff. I'm very interested in that as a founder. Like, like I think founders have a duty to like contribute to the world or help the world beyond our companies. I'd love to hear what motivates you and which nonprofits you're excited about.
I think every for-profit founder should also start a nonprofit, maybe even 2, which sounds crazy, but I've started 4. I'm on 8 nonprofit boards. I think everyone should be involved in, at least like as a donor, in 2 nonprofits, 1 local near where you live and 1 international. And you should learn about the dynamics of each one. I've learned so much from my nonprofit mentors that have helped me in my job. Like, for example, Ophelia Dahl, she's the co-founder of Partners in Health in Boston. She's a gifted storyteller. And when you watch her give a talk in front of her team in Haiti, she's just like captivating and people want to work hard for her. And so I aspire, like, I wish I could tell a story as well as she can. So good nonprofit leaders can motivate for-profit leaders. And it's just been very rewarding for me. People ask me, how can I run 5 companies and 4 nonprofits, but have no stress in my life? Because I do have very, very little stress. I color code my calendar. There's 4 colors. It's for stuff linked to my day job, my nonprofits, self-improvement, which is like going to the gym, a meditation class, whatever, or friends and family. And every Monday, Friday, my assistant Eliza and I look at my calendar for 2 weeks out, and we make sure there's a balance of the 4 colors. And if there's not nonprofit, I feel kind of empty, or I feel guilty. Like I feel like malnourished. My soul is not being nourished that week. So to me, it's just an important part of having a healthy week.
Well, why start a nonprofit? There seems like, I mean, there's a lot out there. You said donate as well, but like, is there something special about founders starting nonprofits?
Yeah. I mean, last year I donated to 82 nonprofits. So I don't just start them. I also donate. And when I encounter a problem, the first thing I do is I say, is there someone already else solving this problem? I do this for tech as well. I have a problem in my life right now that's a tech problem that I come up with an idea for a product that I'm trying not to build. I'm trying to find someone who already built it.
Oh yeah, what's the idea? Maybe someone can build it who's listening.
It's basically an app for families who have caretakers for elderly parents. And you wonder, is your caretaker really spending that much time with your mom and dad? Or are they showing up late? They leaving early? Are they leaving in the middle of the day? So an app kind of to monitor when your loved one and your caretaker are in the same room together. Like, are they together? And you can build other caretaker features in there as well. Like the caretaker could say, I took your dad out to lunch and that cost me $30. And then they can enter their expense. You could Venmo them the amount in the app. So some app to manage caretakers. And I have a design for it, but I kind of don't want to build it. I'm hoping I can find someone else.
You want to use like AI where you just have like a video in your parents' house and that's just monitoring the situation?
They don't want cameras in the house.
My wife has the same problem to monitor her mom in China. And we have cameras. So she uses the cameras all the time. She's always looking at the cameras. I think some kind of sensor actually, so you save a click.
Honestly, as an AI watching the camera would be quite good because even like I remember when I had a baby and you don't know what the babysitter is doing. And I don't want to go look at like 1 hour of the babysitter video and like it's like, hey, it's hard to like catch some bad behavior. But
I do think this is different than my idea, what you just said. But I think what you just said is a great idea for a new company. Cameras that you don't have to monitor yourself because AI is monitoring them.
Yeah, it's good for security as well. I get a freaking alert every time someone like walks by my house. I'm like, this is useless.
Yeah, I know my camera. I have a Google Nest doorbell, and it can recognize faces. So it tells me if someone rings my doorbell, it opens up my phone and tells me, well, it shows me the video, but also announces who's at my door. And I thought that's pretty cool. But I used to think 10 years ago, maybe you could have offshore security guards to watch cameras for you because the labor costs are cheaper than US based security team. But you're right, Immad, in that you don't need an offshore person watching it. You can have AI watching it. I think it's a clever idea. One of your listeners should go build that company if you stock in it. I think it's a great idea.
I guess like this kind of ties into the other topic that I think is interesting right now. Do we think there's a lot more kind of consumer startups that are like becoming available because of kind of this AI enabling it? And like, if you were thinking through those kind of ideas, like how would you kind of think about like what is likely to be successful and not successful in the consumer startup space?
I think the most powerful role in a technology company is the product manager. And if you take a product manager with AI on their shoulder, it's now a product manager and a designer and an engineer and a QA engineer and a release engineering DevOps engineer. Like there's so much that the AI can do. And what you need is a product manager. I use that term in quote, product manager. It's really just a person with an idea to say, I have this problem, I want to solve it. And they can have discussions with language models about how would you build a video monitoring app, like to look for how often are the two people in the frame versus one person. And through having ongoing discussions with your language model, it'll eventually emit code that does that for you. And product managers, and I say quote unquote product managers, they're going to figure this out so they can build products on their own. Some of these product managers will be engineers, some will be designers, but it's going to happen that people are building products on their own.
How many years away are we from someone being able to do that?
I follow a number of accounts on Twitter that show examples of this, of people building simple apps with language models. And it's happening already. The question is, when will it be mass market? Like, there's this debate about, will every company have its own software? Like, if you run an accounting company, are you going to develop your own accounting software? Or are you going to buy accounting software? And there's one theory that says, when it's so easy to build software and hopefully to extend software, every accounting company can just say, okay, I like QuickBooks, but I want the invoice to look like that, not like that, and have it just change because they just talk to it. Like, I think that's going to happen.
I do think take accounting, there's like a lot of integrations and like there's a lot of nuance that like you probably do want to use like off the shelf software for some of it, but maybe you can like augment it with AI.
Yeah. I know all the products you're building with BVS are all built with AI. We have an event invitation system called partyclick.com, lets you set up an event and capture photos from your guests. And all of our templates for party invite templates are created with AI. We have, let's see, going down the list. So Lola, we're using AI to match people in the dating app. SuperCal, we're using AI to decide where in your calendar we should insert a meeting. So Deets is my travel company, Deets.com, like show me the Deets. That uses AI to generate guides. And then we're also using Spam Strike as a new product, which released spamstrike.com. That uses AI to tell when you get a text message, is it spam or not? And we're also using AI to do things like competitive research and analysis and help us think about like how to market products. Some of our ads are generated by AI. So we're really using it as every part of the business. I only have 10. The reason you can have 5 products with 10 employees in the US is because each employee has like 3 or 4 AIs helping them.
It's a cool model. This competitive research piece, I saw a demo of a product the other day that was really compelling. I mean, like you can have AIs basically monitor everything your competitors are doing, their LinkedIns, their websites, every single word that, their founders put on, Twitter or whatever, and they give you like a weekly or daily update on your competitors' movement. I think it's quite compelling as a product. Actually.
What was the name of the company?
I forgot now. I gotta find. I saw a random demo on one of the social sites.
There's a company I'm advising right now called Moneyball. It's named after the book. Their website is moneyball.ai. And what they're using is AI to create profiles of founders. And so they're going to sell this to angel investment groups and venture capital firms. So if 2 or 3 founders come to you and they pitch you, the AI can read everything these people have ever written on Twitter and LinkedIn and Medium and Stack Overflow and GitHub. It just consume every content they've ever produced. It will watch their videos and it'll give a psychological profile of the founders and it'll give a psychological profile of them as a team. Because a lot of startups fail because there's an implosion across the founders. There's sort of a toxic culture and one founder gets fired. And so they're trying to do the Moneyball thing.
Have they back tested this against failed startups and successful startups?
They have. The product's not released yet, but keep an eye on it. It's moneyball.ai. It's a very cool founding team.
I'd like to see how the profile looks like for Elon Musk.
That's Raj. That's exactly what I told him to do. I said, I want, that man child. Tell me about his psychological damage. It makes him successful.
I feel like focusing on founders is maybe too small a market. They should do college admission and
you can do for every employee, for every interview, right?
Yeah.
We've had employees who turned out to be like Nazis. We've actually had that problem, and I could have definitely used the service for that.
I feel like it's a bit of a dystopian world, though, if anything you've ever said is being held against you forever, kind of thing.
Companies still need to know, right? There's and this happens anyways. It's just slower process. Someone is manually combing through everything.
So you had an employee that was actually a Nazi?
Yeah, he was just he seemed like a normal guy, except he lived on a boat, which was kind of weird. This happens in the Bay Area. People do live on boats.
On a boat. Yeah, that's one of the cheapest ways to live in the Bay Area.
But otherwise, he seemed totally fine. And then he left the company at some point after a couple of years. And then he turned out to run for office in California as the head of the Nazi party or something like that, or the head of some. It was not called the Nazi party, but it was basically a Nazi party. Yeah. So we had no idea, just no idea at all.
Did you get a chance to see this Meta Orion glasses? They just released them yesterday.
The Meta Ray-Ban?
Yeah, the Ray-Ban. But they've got a new version, but it can do a holographic kind of display projected onto the lens that looks 3D. It just was announced yesterday. It looks really cool.
Yeah, the ones I got mine a couple of months ago, and I'm not wearing them right now, and I'm not wearing them regularly, but it completely blew me away because if you're wearing AirPods, you can have discussions and have AI listening to you and enhancing the conversation. But who wants to walk around life wearing AirPods, right? You don't want to be at dinner with people and people like, that's weird, he's wearing AirPods. But if you wear something that look like regular glasses and has a camera, so you can say, what am I looking at? And it can whisper in your ear. It has a microphone, a speaker, and a camera. It's pretty amazing thinking of AI and glasses. I think it's such a great vision. I mean, Google talked about this, was it 15 years ago with the Google glasses? But the AI wasn't there yet. The real time wasn't there yet. And real time still isn't quite fast enough yet, but it's coming.
It's very compelling. I've tried really hard to buy these glasses. So I'm a hardware software background, right? So I love devices.
Wait, why didn't you just buy them?
I couldn't buy them. They kept canceling my order.
Really?
The reason is my prescription is my prescription is a bit too strong for them. So they can only take certain prescriptions.
Are you completely blind when you take those glasses off?
No, well, I'm -6, -7, and they only go to -5.5 or something.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. So it's not ready for me, but I was thinking of just buying it anyways and just putting them over my glasses. But yeah,
you can wear
I really want to
contacts.
try these out. But I saw an interview with Zuck where he talked about these things, and I was really struck by how well he was thinking about it, because he was like, the glasses have to look amazing. That's the most important thing. And you have to want to wear the glasses anyways. And it has to be super light and feel just like normal glasses. And that's been always the issue, right? The Apple Vision product. I mean, no one's going to wear something like that for very long. And it's just an obvious thing, I think, for a product person to think about. But Apple, this massive company, probably wasted billions of dollars on that product, right? And
I mean, Meta has
so
spent, I think, 50 billion or something so far. Is it 50 billion?
yeah,
It was insane.
on the VR stuff. Yeah, but the AR stuff is way more compelling. Yeah.
I think it's both, right? Like, I think this is what they were developing. Anyway, you should check it out. It's called Orion. It's got this video has the funniest bit. I like literally cracked out laughing. So in the video, Zuckerberg, which he's clearly like messing with us. He's like, okay, you want to do hand tracking and voice, but that's all annoying. What you really want is a neural interface. And I'm like, whoa, are they launching a neural like interface into people's heads or something? And then what it turns out to be is like something that you just put on your arm and it like detects finger movements. And I'm like, that is not a neural interface. That is like an extreme kind of like exaggeration, but it's such a funny part of the video.
Have you tried that with the Apple Vision? Like, there is a way to do that too, right? Like,
it's basic,
like the finger.
I mean, it's like you just pinch your fingers and stuff. It's okay, but it's very finicky. I mean, it was like basically the week it was launched, but everything about the Apple Vision kind of usage was like pretty finicky at the time.
Paul, do you ever do a hardware product?
When I left Kayak, I had an incubator. We didn't work on our own ideas, so we helped invest in back other founders. And we had someone who built network drive for all your media. Instead of storing your media on the web, which people are really nervous about, the idea is just store it on this device. And ultimately, the company didn't survive. I think people had just become more and more comfortable that this stuff is going to be in the cloud.
There's such a long history of hardware startups failing in Silicon Valley, so I'm not surprised that VCs don't back them, very much. The problem actually ends up being not the product. You can actually do great demos with hardware, or like you can do you can build prototypes relatively easy and stuff. The hard part is actually the supply chain and the inventory. It's like how many devices do you order, for your sale, and like if you don't order enough devices, consumers get annoyed because they have to wait too long for the product, and if you order too much, your company can fail. And this happens a lot for small startups. Like Apple is going to take a write down on this Apple Vision thing, right? They'll take like several $1 billion write down. They can do that, but a startup can't do that, and VCs can't back that. So the model actually for VC funded hardware startups, I think, is really tough.
Isn't the other issue that like whatever you do, like there's going to be a kind of a Chinese or some other ripoff of it pretty quickly. So it's hard to like actually establish a brand and like be differentiated long enough.
Yeah, I don't think so. It's true that the Chinese and other people will rip it off, but like at the same time, like I think American-made products have a level of quality and polish and like a whole package around it that is tends to be superior, and it's very obviously superior. So I don't think companies die because of that reason. Like if you look at companies like Jawbone, even Pebble, Fitbit, GoPro, like all these companies, actually had some traction.
Band, that's another great local company.
Yeah, and recently there's been all these AI pins, like these, those. I think Rewind.
So it's funny. I got one of these rabbit ones, and I literally have not got it running. I feel really guilty about it because it's sitting right in front of me, and I've had it for like a month or two.
I'm excited about what's the company that had the terrible video, the AI pin?
Was it Rewind? No,
there was a ton of them. Limitless.
Humane.
Yeah, Humane is the one that was banned.
That's it. Yeah. But I love their vision, and that's going to happen. Their vision will happen. It looks like they're not going to be the ones to execute their vision, but someone's going to figure that out. But I must say,
I mean, the thing is, I'm carrying this thing and this and that every day. Like Apple should just do it, right?
I think glasses are going to be where it's at. I really do. I think glasses are going to be the new iPhone.
I always wear sunglasses, and it seems like you guys wear eyeglasses. So I wonder if like people who don't wear sunglasses or eyeglasses will like be on board with it, or maybe
I honestly believe it. I believe they will.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, and glasses are kind of some people like to wear them just for like fashion purposes, anyways. Including clear eyeglasses. They want to look like more studious or whatever. So I think that everyone's going to start looking like that, and there'll be different flavors of design and stuff. It's cool. It's cool that people are still innovating in these areas, which are not necessarily AI, but a combination of hardware, software.
But is it mostly just going to be these big companies doing it then? I guess Meta's doing it. Like it seems like not really a space open to startups.
I think there is room, but I don't think the VC model works for it. I think you really need, like, a startup needs to partner with a strategic who has like huge amounts of capital, almost like OpenAI, Microsoft. Like, there needs to be like that type of backing. VC capital isn't patient enough. There's not enough capital. And like this model of like, if you make a mistake, you're dead, doesn't work. You have to be able to make some mistakes. That's the problem. There's not enough capital there, and seed stage money doesn't cover it. But I'm trying to think of like any hardware startup that's worked in the last 15 years. Can you guys think of any?
I guess Nest, is that in the last 15 years or is that 20 years ago?
Nest, yes, that's right. Nest is a good example. Yeah. They had some. I saw like Paul's using their product, but Ring as well, right? Ring sold to
All day and home ones.
Amazon, right? So yeah, there's a few examples. Speaking of baby monitors, I use Nanit, which is a really good product. It's also a startup. It's like a computer vision and baby monitor, so they like track your baby's movements, give you analytics based on that.
Oh, really? Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think we can probably wrap up. This is an awesome pod. Thanks for joining us, Paul.
Yeah, it's been fun talking to you guys.
Very fun. Thanks a lot for joining us, and thank you everyone for listening. Feel free to subscribe on Substack, YouTube, Spotify, all the various channels, and join our group chat on Tribe. We have quite a few people joining now, so thanks for listening, and we'll be on next week.
Yep. See you then.